Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens have started the season 0-2. Now, I don't think any of us expected that to happen to start the season. None of us, I don't think, expected Gardner Minshew in this matchup to go 30 for 38, 276 yards, a touchdown. Played reasonably well. Devontae Adams managed to pop off. Do you know what's a really good thing for the Raiders? How Brock Bowers started this season. Rookie tight ends do not always start great. Like we saw the struggles with Kyle Pitts. Brock Bowers for this team, absolutely brilliant. But let's talk about the Ravens first. Lamar Jackson. He had some misses in week 1, particularly at the end of the game, even though his legs kept him in it. And in this one, he didn't have a great game either.
He still put up a lot, I'd say.
Well, he put up 247 yards, a touchdown. He threw an interception, but 45 rushing yards is low in terms of Lamar Jackson. But it just seemed that this game got close, but they were ahead in this one, right? They were ahead by 10, and they let this lead slip.
Yeah.
I think they just kept allowing the Raiders to hang around.
Yeah.
And that
you've got to be able to sort of put those teams away. It's always hard, especially an 0-2 start for a team that wants to be a real contender. Like, it's a hard hole. Like, wins in the NFL are hard to come by, and it's going to be a hard hole for them to come out of. Because now, usually the first 5 games, if you drop 3 in the first 5, it just makes your season so much more of a struggle fest.
So do you know who they've got next?
What, schedule-wise?
Mm-hmm.
Who have they got?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, that's away from the Ravens.
But what it is 2 teams who are coming off chastening losses, right?
Yep.
They lost. So with the Ravens, they lost to a team who
they're expected to win.
They were expected to blow them out, right?
Yep.
And the Cowboys, they got blown out. And this is a Jerry world as well.
Yeah.
So, but we'll talk about next week's matchup for when we look at next week's matchups. But the Ravens in this one it's still not good enough, right?
Yeah. They're underperforming on offense as well. I mean, rushing attack, even with Derrick Henry, he didn't go for over 100, but still.
You got 18 carries for 84 yards and a touchdown in this one. Justice Hill in this one for rushing attempts of 22 yards. But it just, if they're not blowing away the opposition in either facet, so passing or running, then they've got a problem because the game's going to be close. Could be close.
Yeah, it's almost as though like the Ravens need to get a lead early.
But they had a lead early, but they weren't able to run the ball they weren't able to close it out with the run game in this one.
If they're playing from behind, it seems as though that's when they sort of stop being themselves. They try and like force the issue. They're a team that plays better from ahead. But I'm just gonna give the Ravens their flowers. Gardner Minshew, I always go on about him. I still say, I think this season, because he's going to be the starter for the majority of the year, the whole year. I think we're really going to see. I'm not saying he's going to become like a surefire hit, but like I said, second best QB in Kyler Murray's draft. I always bring it up.
Let it go. Hey. We know you love Minshew, okay? But let it go. Okay.
He's got some infatuation with him, but if we look at the fourth quarter, right? They were up.
Yeah.
So they scored the touchdown. They went up 23-13. So they're up by 10. And then obviously it comes down to one score with the Raiders getting a field goal. And then they go punt for their next offensive drive. And then they fully allow the Raiders back in by having another touchdown pass to Devontae Adams. And then the next drive, they had another punt. So they had opportunities to continue to extend that lead, and a big factor in this one was Lamar getting sacked by Max Crosby. And then they weren't able to get the passing game going when they needed to at the end. And the Raiders were able to, they were finding the players that they need. They were managing to run the ball well enough. But it's really frustrating for them because it's two games which are close. First game, they definitely should have won. This game, they were expected to win. So, I'm a bit of a loss as to how they could actually if they go 0-3, do you think that's then they're in a really big hole, right? Like a stupendously big hole.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think they're built to sort of like at that point you can't
chase it.
The game.
They can't be chasing things.
Yeah, they're built to be like established. Halfway through the season, they're already 6-1 or 7-0. And then they can kind of control things. But now it's kind of like there's desperation. Whenever that happens, especially with the type of offense they run, you end up with people, like I said, they play outside of the tempo. They play with desperation. And I think they're a team that thrives on like establishing something in the game, whether it's the run game, play action pass, and they can build on that. You never want to become one dimensional. And Lamar, despite what's happening, he just needs to continue to be himself. Like we've seen it happen before, where he's decided, you know what, we need to win. I'm not going to be myself. I'm going to try and force this ball down the field, and that's when you end up like your offense is built to go through the run game. You know, which is actually like the opposite of what a lot of teams are doing now, where they force the throw, even if it's not there. Like the Ravens are built to, you should be able to like run the ball, even when you don't want to, you do it anyway, you know? So I think as long as they stick to that, then they'll see that success. The moment they try and move away from that, just because you're paying someone big money, Lamar Jackson, you've got Justice Hill, who's a really good running back as well. Stick to that. And then when the opportunity comes up, you've got Zay Flowers, who you can throw the ball to over the top.
Well, they've been using him a lot in like shorter yardage situations because he's such a good back. He's such a good back. He's such a good wide receiver that he's able to catch the ball in multiple situations.
Yeah,
they have. I also feel like Lamar needs to start trusting Isaiah Likely a little bit more.
Well, the first game he threw to him a lot, but it was it was his inaccuracy that caused it at the end.
Yeah, because I feel like there's some opportunities that he could have hit Likely on as he was open a number of times. I think they need to work on that chemistry, because I think when I look at Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, yes, Mark Andrews is more experienced, but Likely is the athletic tight end now. Because I do feel like Mark Andrews has lost a little bit of athleticism through like the injuries and stuff, as you know, things are going on. So start trusting Isaiah Likely more. And Lamar is great when he's thrown to his tight end. So I don't know how they can incorporate into their offense, but maybe if they run some 2 tight end sets, you know.
Well, I think, but so a lot of the time, even if we look at the snap counts, right?
Yeah.
So 63% of the snaps were for Mark Andrews, and in this game, 49% of the snaps were for Isaiah Likely.
Hey, time for Ravens play big boy football. Put both of them on the field. They can both block. They can both catch the pass. Run 13 personnel. Have your 2 tight ends on there and run it. The Cowboys defense can't stop the run. So hey, I don't even want to go there. But let's just talk about this game. All I'm saying is they gotta get a little bit better in a run game, because I think Derrick Henry 18 carries for 84 yards, and and a touchdown, 4.67 on
It's better
average.
than it was last week, but it's
Yeah, it's better, but I felt like they could have run
I
him a
think
bit more.
generally, if you are keeping Derrick Henry to less than 90 yards, the likelihood of you winning a game, like when it was with the Titans, the likelihood is you were winning that game, right? 100
Yeah,
once he got well, it was more about 60 something. If you kept him less than 60 or 70 yards, because the number of carries he was getting in the game, like he's going to have that volume and he's going to be there. But he had volume in this one, but they didn't have the time of possession advantage. It was pretty much split evenly down the middle. It's like just over 30 minutes for the Raiders and just under 30 minutes for the Ravens. Even with 18 carries for Derrick Henry, you still don't have a time of possession advantage, so they weren't able to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, but it's true. However, I would say going forward, they need to make a statement. Derrick Henry doesn't get less than 20 carries. I don't care what the game is on. And the Ravens, your bread and butter is a run game. So if it's 1884, give him a few more carries, see how much you can get in a run game going forward. I think the Ravens will be fine. I think this game, they ultimately underperformed a little bit and it got away from them. But I think going forward, they should be able to start picking up wins now, because if they drop the third game, then it becomes too heavy of a task. But I do believe they can turn it around. I mean, I think, have they ever started 0-2 and went to the playoffs before? I think they've done it before.
I do not have that data to hand.
I mean, it's usually once you drop the fourth game. If you go 0-4 in the first 5, at that point, you're kind of hoping other teams lose. So it's not just you handling your business. You're like, we need this other team to drop a game in our division. Just
I think what the bad thing was for the Ravens, particularly at the end of this game, was that you look at as we went through that drive chart, they had penalties on the offensive side of the ball in critical down situations, which prevented them from being able to move the ball. So they had those penalties, and then they had the sack on the next drive, and it put them in situations that they didn't want to be in, and they didn't allow that flow, which is why they weren't able to actually keep onto the ball and have the time of possession advantage in that fourth quarter, which they needed. But we'll talk about the Ravens later on in the week when we talk about their game with the Cowboys.